All right. So I was about to introduce myself. I am Ejiro Ogidigbo. I am currently the lead front-end developer at Max. Max.ng is a logistics firm. Basically, we cater for everything from ride hauling, that's bike hauling, to deliveries. Right now, we are in Lagos, Abuja, and Bamubam, Ibadan too. So yeah, we're currently expanding. Well, that's not what this is about. This is about you. Okay. I'm going to just segue right into questions. Uh, yeah. If you have any questions, you can just throw at me straight away. But yeah, so what employers look for? Right now, we recently went through like a series of we're hiring a lot of people, or at least people for the engineering team. And from the criteria I saw being set in the recruitment document, it necessarily right now employers are looking for people that are multifaceted. So they want someone that can have a little bit of understanding of the back end, a little bit of understanding of the front end, and some like UI UX experience. But that's not saying you have to consume a lot. You just have to start from somewhere, and when you gain mastery in that, you can move on to other things, right? So who's the moderator, or do I moderate this myself? Hello.
Looks like you're in charge.
Okay.
Hi, Ejiro, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, this is Okpa. My colleague Doyin should be here. Thanks for joining us again. My colleague Doyin should be here. I think she went off to join the call, and I would also be dropping off soon, but she should join in shortly. What do you need us to do?
So from what I gather, I thought this would be like there'll be someone spearheading the conversations, and I touch on all the topics that were listed in the doc.
Okay. Yeah, so you have a presentation on the main topic. That's sorry, just for me to confirm what the exact topic is. Please give me a moment. Okay, so you just decided to start with the bit on what employers look out for, which is like the extra stuff. So you can start up on that bit, and if anyone has any question after that, they can ask before you do your presentation. But I thought you would start with the main presentation first.
Okay, I'm going to
which works for you?
At the end of this, yeah.
Okay, that works.
All right. Okay, so yeah, do you have any questions regarding what I feel? Well, currently that's what Max.ng is looking for, and at least for a front-end developer role. If you're just entry level, we're basically looking for how interested you are in your craft. So we'll probably ask you questions like, what are your design inspiration, right? Do you go on Dribble? Do you go on Behance? Do you, all the stuff that just, it's, you have to be in the culture before they know that, yeah, you actually want to learn. That's for people just getting into software development. Yeah. So any questions yet from anyone?
Can you break it down further when you say you have to be in the culture? What exactly are you talking about? Because from what I see more often than not, when people post a job or open
Sorry,
job applications.
please speak up.
Hi, Chaka.
Yep.
Your voice sounds muffled a bit. I think you're either far from your mic or maybe too close. Not sure which it is.
Okay, let me start again. Is this clear enough?
Still the same thing.
How about now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. Ejiro, can you hear me clearly? Okay. Looks like you stepped back a bit. Okay. Like I said, you said something about being in the culture. And from job descriptions I've seen at different times, when people put out applications or opening for entry level roles, it looks more like they need an entire IT department in one person. So when you say being in the culture, what exactly do you mean? Like break it down completely, because if you're looking for someone to fill an entry level role, you shouldn't be looking for someone who has 5 years experience or someone who has been developing for a while. So when you say entry level, like break it down properly, what do you mean like entry level? What do you guys look out for really when you say someone who's in the culture? That's like a general term for a whole lot of things. You can put a whole lot of things into that culture. Because someone who is entry level is just entering the culture. So I don't know how you're supposed to be in the culture when you're just entering. So please break that down.
Okay, that's a great question. So let me answer it this way. When I meant in the culture, right, I meant first off, right, when you're entry level, when you want to be job ready, you have to make sure that you have a lot of things checked out, right? You don't just go to an employer's office and drop your CV. No. Okay, so let me put it this way. What I look for in entry level is I want to see you working. I want to see you putting out stuff, like just playing around with different kinds of things, right? So if I go check your GitHub and I see you've done like um, even just 6 projects, full fleshed out, you went through, even if it's just a code along from Udemy, tutorials, any of that, right? I want to see you trying out new things yourself. I want to see you hopping on new technologies. Do you understand? Even though your understanding might not be, even though you might be writing not optimal code, or it might just be like a rough sketch, it's something that you're actively working on. That is going to show your commitment to your own learning. Do you understand?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So if I see a GitHub profile for someone that just started coding like a year ago, and you see them constantly just trying to improve themselves, then I know that whatever I have to teach when they come into Max, or even if it's not just me, anything else, they can take on any other role. They can take on backend if they put their mind to it, because you already conquered this and you're this good. So why not on any other thing? So that's where you see that people take on more responsibilities and they grow in the company. So you just always have to show them value, right? So for me, I started off as, this is my history, by the way. I started off, I went to Covenant University. It was a rough time for me there. I interned, like I studied electrical and electronics engineering. So I went through the whole hardware beats of IT, right? I interned in Computer Warehouse Group and also IPNX. So I saw my part from when I was younger. I was like, okay, yeah, my goal is to try to get into tech, but I didn't know where I would find, like, I didn't know what would actually work for me, what would catch my interest. So I decided to just go through, I know this might be a privilege for me to do, but I decided to go through each of the sections that I found interesting. So that's why hence my undergraduate was electrical and electronics engineering. Then I segued into network engineering around my final year. I did the CCNA, CCNP certifications, and it felt like I went through that process, and then I got the internship in IPNX because of those certificates, by the way. So I worked there for a bit, and then I saw the Andela model, and it was pretty interesting to me at that point. By the way, at this point, I didn't know anything about software engineering. I have never written a line of code in my life, but I saw the Andela applications and I was like, okay, why don't you give this a try? This might be a good way for me to get into software development because that was the next stage for me. So yeah, and it wasn't easy. Starting with everything, it just looked, it's a different way of thinking, right? It's just when you get your mind to that mindset of, oh, this is how these things work in this reality, then you can, everything just opens up for you. You just have to keep looking at that thing until it makes sense and keep looking at other people that have done the same thing and try to find parallels there. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, what was I going with this? Yeah, I got into, when I did the Andela bootcamp, first off, I tried the first time, just the online test just blew me off because I spent a lot of time just watching YouTube tutorials and trying to, okay, yeah, this can't be that hard, right? I did electrical electronics, I know some math. So I went in there with that mindset, but everything was foreign. You'll be looking at a lot of things a lot of concepts that you're not used to. So, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is my challenge. I failed the online exam the first time. I tried the second time because it was basically the same questions or around the same topics. So they will give you, I don't know, has anybody gone to the Anela model here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know the process, right? They'll filter like top 7% of people that apply.
Well, just a caveat, I didn't go far.
Okay, you got to the what?
I said just a caveat, I didn't go far.
Okay. So when you go through the online tests and they filter a lot of people, you get to go into the bootcamp. The bootcamp is 2 weeks of absolute hell. I mean, it was beautiful, but it was a lot to take in for at least someone that is just new to this concept, right? So that view of you don't need to know any program, it actually does make sense if you're willing to put in that work for it, right? I think software engineering is at some point, right? When you've been using the technology for a long time, right? You can pass through, you can write code, you can try to like, what's the word for it? You can try to hack your way through and not exactly know what you're doing, right? Especially in front-end development, right? You can just look at the browser and try to hack your way through. But if you don't still know what you're doing, one, you'll be very slow in implementing a lot of things. Two, you would run into a lot of problems that you can't actually fix with those hacks. So at some point, right, I decided to just take my time, and that's where you level up. I decided to just take my time and get in there and try to understand how everything works. And if you've been actively just doing anything you like, right? If you've just been hacking away for even just a month, and you go and go and find a really good tutorial or find a mentor that can actually put you through all the fundamentals, it'll be just, it's like an eye opening, right? It just, the insight will be immense because you see how a lot of things just make sense in the grand scheme of things. At least talking about front-end development, even just JavaScript even. So once you know most of the basic APIs and what they do, you can basically jump on any other language. So far you know that, oh yeah, this is how these things work. This is how everything meshes together. You just have to know how to speak what you're trying to do in that language, right? So I'm trying to implement a feature for, if you're trying to do anything in JavaScript, first you break down the problem and try to see, okay, what can I use to achieve this in this language? That is how you should be looking at software development. That is how you can port from anywhere to another language because you know basically what you're trying to achieve. You break down the problem, try to see what you're trying to achieve, and then look at the library or look at whatever language you're using and see what the implementation is there. From there, you can keep moving. I think I have digressed. But yeah, so those are basically insights, what the industry is now, right? So if you feel like it's going to be a lot for you to have for it to be multifaceted, right? Just make sure that what you can do, you can do it really well. So you can go into any situation and, okay, you know that this front end, I am going to be the best. I am going to show extra value. Right now, I don't know. I have forgotten most of the back end. I've forgotten most of what happens on the back end because I just did it at my simulations in Andela. But how I try to bring value to my firm is by knowing a lot of UI UX. So I'm using that to supplement even just my normal work. So I'll be given a design where, do you guys know what micro interactions are?
I don't.
Okay, so when you're given a design and everything looks flat, right? You see on some websites, there are these little interactions that happen that just show you, that just makes the experience beautiful. For me, that is the difference between just coding and putting in the extra, putting in extra work to whatever you're doing. So how I bring value, how I found a way to bring value in this system, because a lot of people are going remote right now. By the way, there's so many job opportunities out there for you to even, if you just even know about it, you wouldn't, right now, this being a software engineer in this COVID period is absolutely amazing. Even though like COVID is bad, but this has been amazing for us because a lot of companies are opening up the borders. You can even hire, because there were restrictions before COVID where you must be in a country before you can even work remotely. Right now, they don't have those restrictions anymore. Anyone can, from any country, so far you have a good portfolio and you can show an active engagement on social media to all this like tech stuff, that is it, basically. You just need to be actively in the culture. You need to be actively following people that matter. So if you're a React developer, right, you need to at least know who Dan Abramov is. Like follow forums that talk about new releases, engage, go on open source, even if it's just changing a toggle button from red to blue. Make sure you have a footprint somewhere, so you're visible. And from there, you just find that so many opportunities are coming your way because you're talking to more people, you're networking, you're seeing new code, you're improving yourself every day, and everybody can see it. People are watching, and most of the times, right, my LinkedIn, even though I don't reach out for, I'm not necessarily looking for a new job, but you get offers just there because I try to post things relevant to my field, right? I post, if I see a new topic about React hooks, I'll repost, or if I'm building new projects, I'm gonna repost. If Max is doing something, I'm just trying to keep the engagement going. And from there, even like people from all over will come and message you to further can see that you're actively doing something. Okay. So any questions so far?
Yeah, good morning. I have a question.
Yeah.
Alex, it goes like this of your software. Did you ever have to deal with
I can hear you
Can
clearly.
you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I said during the course of your going into software development, did you ever have to deal with imposter syndrome? Because currently it's this course has been very, very interesting. Sometimes it gets so scary that I even get scared of opening my laptop. And when I see notifications on Slack, I get scared. I'm like, I don't come again, stuff like that. So like,
Yeah.
if you ever felt like that, how did you get to deal with imperfection? Because I guess at some point we go through that bridge.
So here's something, right? I still feel that. So, yeah, I still feel that right now, even when I get, so that's the beauty, that it's a mind thing. So what I believe is with insights, right? The more insights you have is about a certain topic, the less the fear. So it's the same thing if you don't know how to swim, right? The water just seems foreign and then you're closing your eyes in the water and everything just seems like you're disoriented, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But then when you can open your eyes and put your feet on the ground and look everywhere, would you still be scared?
No.
There's less fear. So it's basically the same thing with software engineering, right? If you don't have that that certainty, that assurance in your own capacity, then it would overwhelm you. So there are a couple of times where I've been given some, when I look at some new technology I don't know and I have to implement this the next day, right? Even when I was put into React hooks, it was a live project for the government and I was the lead developer there. And because of my team, they were mostly, so I got into Max January and the team, they were mostly they write in hooks and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm still using the dated syntax for React. Why don't I port to this and for this project? Because I thought like, okay, yeah, this would be so easy. I got in there and things don't work exactly the same way, right? I had to change my mindset on the fly. But then I was scared every time they send me a message, hey, like, hey, what's up? Like, this is not ready. This is not ready. But then I had a lot to learn and I was feeling that fear. But what I realized was there is nothing that can't be learned, right? There's nothing that I already came this far. I already understood. I understand what I understand, right? And it's just a matter of time for me to crack this. And I realized that I don't actually need to worry because in the end, I did crack it. It was the confidence in my capability to understand something that made me push through. That always keeps me pushing, actually, because each day you come with some different thing that you don't know. You just have to take your time, take a step back, and just look at the problem. If you don't understand it, you can Google that stuff. Like it's a lot of people are sharing stuff everywhere. So so far you have your fundamentals down. That is one thing. If you don't have your fundamentals down, everything else will just seem like you're closing your eyes in the middle of an ocean because you don't still know what is going on around you. But so far you can see just a little bit, so far you can understand what you're looking at, then there's really nothing you need to be scared of. There's really no need to have imposter syndrome. That's how I remind myself. And I don't think, so when I get a task that might be a little bit difficult, even though I spend maybe 1 or 2 days in there, one thing I do is sometimes I just step away from the problem and do something else. Most of the time when I code, it's usually like early in the mornings because that's when I have like fresh energy to try to do stuff. That's when I mostly finish up most of my tasks for the day, from 4 a.m. to my stand-up time by 10, because that's when I'm most productive. That's when everything just comes in and flows. So you need to find that time, find your balance, and also make sure you have the fundamentals down, because from there you can build up to any other thing. So don't jump onto CSS libraries, right? Start from scratch. Start from understanding how everything works plainly. Because one mistake I made when I was in Andela was I started off with Bootstrap, and I was like, okay, yeah, if I knew what how Bootstrap works. By the way, Bootstrap documentation is immense. there's a tip about looking at documentation. Don't ever try to study documentation from top to bottom. Just pick what you need and take it out. So from there, you keep on building from your experience. So when you need something else, you take it out and learn that and move. So you don't need to cram the whole of, because I still don't know the stuff that is in the React documentation or any CSS library. So just keep picking what you need and move. But again, back to not using libraries, right? Always start from your fundamental. Always try to understand how everything works out of the box without any support from anywhere. Yeah, that's basically that. Does that really answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Any more questions, guys?
Yeah, I also have a question, actually.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Okay. Okay, you said at Max, you're looking for full knowledge on back-end, front-end, and even on UI UX. So I said you are a front-end dev. So how do you balance you said you're a front-end dev.
We're looking for more experience right now, but entry level is still like there's still a role, there's still slots for entry level. So I already explained what I'll be looking for in an entry level. I want to see you engaging in the community. I want to see you trying out new stuff. I want to see you, basically I want to see your passion and I want to see what you've done by yourself. You know, nobody's going to invest in you except you've already put in something. Do you understand? Like if you're going to pitch your business plan to somebody else and you've not even started anything yourself, you just want everybody to come and put capital in your stuff when you've not invested anything in it. That is exactly how it is.
Okay. Okay, so I just feel like how do you balance like everything from front end, back end, and UI as regards the requirement of the companies these days?
Okay, I'll touch back to this point. If you are going to not be multifaceted, I'm saying it's a plus, but it's not required. Right? I am only front end. My contribution to UI UX is the user experience flow. So that's where because I do a lot of micro interactions. I do a lot of things that it's that little extra thing you add. Okay, I'm gonna show you. I don't know if I can show you an example for what I'm talking about. But when we get to the course content, we'll talk more about all these extra things you can add that would just put you above everyone else that just does the bare minimum. So that is what I'm doing right now, and that is why I'm currently where I am. Because I decided to just, okay, all this stuff I don't actually understand, all this fear I'm having, let me take my time and go through this stuff and make it mine. Because regardless, there was a time I didn't have a job for a bit. That was when I was still in my startup. It was called Wildfire. Yeah, that was the startup period for me when I left Andela and started out up with my friends. So there was a time the business wasn't doing all that well and I still wasn't the best person I could be. So I took that time there's so many places you can go to get this education. Even like you're going through student, that is great. You get great mentors and life support right there. But by yourself, you can be on Free Code Camp. Even just getting a certificate from Free Code Camp can give you jobs. And it is free. So there's so many things that if Nigeria doesn't work for you, right? If you're seeing all these ridiculous expectations here, you can go elsewhere. But if you're going elsewhere, you have to put in the work to make yourself presentable at the first glance. Sorry,
I
who
can
asked
hear
the
you.
question? Does that properly answer?
Yes, I actually got
Yeah,
it.
so it can just be front end and your portfolio will be fire, and everybody that sees that will understand that mastery. And there's really nothing else you need to do. Just come there, prove that you can do what you say you can, and you get hired. I have had several people that I've interviewed that just the potential, the way we, like, it was more of a conversation than me, like a question and answer session. And I love that. And I decided, okay, yeah, you're moving forward. Because that's the kind of thing, like that's the kind of, it's that zeal that we're looking for, that you keep pushing and you keep learning. Because anybody, I feel like anybody can know enough to be hired in 4 months. And the rest is just your experience. The rest is just things you get to work with. That's where you just keep building that from. And that is where, if you decide to take on so many things, that's when your growth will actually be, because you'll now be able to cover a lot more. Because once you've known something, there's still space in your brain for more things. Once you've mastered something, once you've known, okay, this is how this works, you keep on moving to the next, and that keeps on building your base. So that is where your seniority level now comes in. Because of, you already touched this, you already know how that works, you move on to the next, you already know how that works. Once you're bored of this, you can move on to something else. And trust me, this actually scales really fast if you're proactive in your growth. You will scale really fast, because once you're in a firm that, okay, they're not really challenging you anymore, there's so many other people that are out there looking for these things. So far, you know how to present yourself well.
Thank you very much.
I think you've muted yourself.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So building your career portfolio, one thing I would advise everyone to do right off the bat, your thought projects, right? Once you've understood a certain technology, right? Your thought project should be aligned to getting you ready for employment, right? So you should have your portfolio built by yourself. That is a great addition to the amount of projects you've worked on, right? And try to play around with it, because anybody that actually knows their stuff, that you're sending that to, will understand that, oh, this is what you did. And do you understand? Anybody that is actually in love with this thing, anybody that is in love, that is in the hiring process, would understand that this is the kind of person they want. You just make yourself stand out even from your code. It can even be from Stack Overflow, something you saw that looks interesting. So far you are trying it out, so far you're trying out new things, it will get people's attention. So make sure you take your time, build your portfolio. In your portfolio, you can just have, if you know what case studies are, you can just have little projects, little things you're doing. Make sure that you're constantly going to revamp them. If you find out, if you acquire new knowledge, try to use that practically in your portfolio or any of the projects in those portfolio that you're displaying. So it doesn't have to be some big, it can just be HTML, CSS. It can just be hosted on Netlify. Netlify is pretty easy and straightforward to host on Netlify, right? So take your time, build your brand. Yeah, there are so many resources for, I'm sure a student will actually take you through some sample projects you can add to your portfolio. That's one way to start building projects for your portfolio. And also make sure that you have your portfolio as one of the projects, because that's what that's basically telling the world who you are. And it's okay to ask for help, right? If you want, it's okay to collaborate, right? I collaborate with a lot of other developers. I collaborate with designers, you don't necessarily have to do everything yourself. The UI design for your portfolio doesn't have to come from you. It has to come from maybe somebody you've been working with, or you can even go and hire on Fiverr, right? If you invest in yourself, a lot of people will see that investment and there will be no limit for you, to be honest. Like there's no limit to any of us on this track, really, because the way the world is moving, our jobs are ultimately going to be what's like remains relevant for the longest run, because the world is in need of solutions that use technology, basically. So how to find opportunities? Basically, anywhere right now. There is touring. There are a lot of Angela people on touring. It's called touring.io. You can go remote and try to just go through all their tests. Right now, people are just looking for, be able to prove that you can do this and that. Once you've passed all our tests, then you're hired. And you can keep constantly like having a good whatever. So you can even get on this platform right now. So far you can pass all the tests. So far you understand your basics, and you have a good mentor, right? So at the beginning, when you're just starting, you absolutely need to use the community. You need to be posting your problems on Stack Overflow, or get a mentor, or reach out to your colleagues if they found out any. That's why the Andela model had a lot of people living together, because you need to be able to just walk into the next place and just say, hey, or call somebody and say, hey, have you faced this problem before? And that in itself, at this beginning stage, you're meant to be sharing and absorbing as much as you can. And make sure you do it, you don't see it as work, right? It's the moment where I fell in love with what I'm doing. That is where it started looking less as work and more as fun for me, right? And I can sit up in the middle of the night trying to make something work. And I have the time for it because I have covered so many of my bases. I now do a lot of those tasks really fast. And I have more time for my development. I have more time to play around with new things. So when you start up, get a mentor. If you're facing a problem, do not stay on it for more than an hour. Right now, more than an hour, 2 hours. Try to go online and see if anybody understands, or if anybody has faced that problem before. Then reach out to your mentor and go through those steps. Like, always put in the effort first before you search for a solution. Yeah, I don't know how I segued into that, but how to find opportunities. Dude, there's so many opportunities online. Touring is one. TopTal is for more senior devs. So that would be really difficult right now. Well, who knows? Somebody here might be a genius. There are quite a lot. I only know about touring because a lot of people in Andela mentioned it as a good place to start. But there are a lot of Nigerian firms that you can even go through. Hotels NG has an internship program. A lot of places online are, if you actually search on LinkedIn, a lot of people have job openings. The job market is wide open. You have the whole world to look for. So far, you can, one, present yourself in the right way, and also have active projects that you're working on. Yeah, so you can search for remote jobs. There's Remotify. There are a bunch. And there's even the Andela learning community you can join, just to be a part of something that you can throw ideas at, like you throw your problems at. So just keep having like multiple sources of insight, so that no matter what, you know that, okay, yeah, you can probably find a solution somewhere. So it reduces that fear of not being able to solve something in the time period you have. Yeah. So questions, guys?
Yeah, you have a question, please. Okay, at student currently in the software engineering class, after we're done, hopefully we tend to be full stack software engineers. So in the industry, um, I'm asking the question because we have those who are specialized in UIX, some front end like you, and then there's a back end, and then we also have those like ourselves that are going to be into full stack. So like, is it actually taxing for we who be full stack software engineers, and like, is there any advantage in one being a full stack than just focusing on front end alone, or back end alone and the UIX alone? Smiling.
So do you know this phrase where was it the something of jack of all trades, master of none? What's that?
Yes.
So you can be full stack, right? It actually all depends on you. I am full stack. I can dive, if I take a refresher on Node, then I'll be able to legit say anywhere that I'm full stack. So it depends on you and what you love. That's what I say. But if I'm being practical, being a full stack developer in this current period is more, I would say, it's more advantageous, because that's another skill, right? Like, regardless, whatever skill you can add to your plate will be more beneficial to you than you just having just one skill. But then again, how you can compensate for that with just one skill is reaching the extreme limit and busting the roof in that particular skill. That's where you can show your mastery. You can show all the time you spent just focusing on this bit, right? So you have to not just be mediocre in, this is not to scare you, right? You can start off as, like, this is for people that have reached the peak of a certain skill and trying to look at other things to actually add value to their firm or to themselves, right? So if you've reached a certain level in a certain field, you can choose to move on to the next, or you can choose to start the two at the same pace, right? It's not going to be more work for you. Most companies that use the agile system, they assign you tasks, right? So they wouldn't say, oh, because of your front end and back end, they'll give you the equal amount of tasks they give just a back end person and just a front end person together. That's not how it works, right? You get a front end task and a back end task, the same amount of tasks and the same amount of story points you give. What is the value is that you can understand the whole piece in a way that somebody using just the front end or just the back end wouldn't be able to. And hence you can create something that is of more value than what, like, at least similarly of more value than what somebody with just knowledge of one side will understand. Does that answer the question?
Yes, that was perfect. Thanks, I appreciate it.
All right. Okay,
Hi.
any more?
Good afternoon. My
Good
name is
afternoon.
Cecilia. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I have a question. I don't know if it's going to digress a little. My question is, what is agile methodology?
Oh, wow. Okay, this is getting into project management realm, but so basically it's a Scrum process, right? Basically, it's a project management term. It's a way to manage, it's a methodology that manages people's tasks on time. That's my perspective of it, right? So right now, our current implementation or our current project management tool is, we're using Jira. So each story would have tasks under it that you can create. So let's say you want to create you want to implement a feature, and a feature to upload a CSV. So that story would have that feature, and you can now create tasks under it. So the Agile methodology is when you start a sprint and you have an end date. So you can move your tasks from into do. It's a way to track what is currently being done in software development, like across the team, across the software development team. So you can have different people's names, you can have all your tasks aligned there, and you see who is assigned to what, and they can track what you can do per week, what you can do per month. And from there, they're able to give you tasks assigned to your own capabilities. So the Agile methodology basically covers all that. Basically ensures that you're moving in an Agile manner. If you have bugs, there will be a story for bugs that you can create there. There's still like a flow to it. So I don't have the exact word for word definition for it, but I hope I was able to shed some light into that.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hi, Ejiro.
Oh.
Hi, Ejiro. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, all right. Thanks for sharing insights. I was off the call for a while, so I'm not sure what bit we are still on. Are we done with the question and answers on the insight bit?
Yes, we are done.
You're muted.
No, sorry. We are done. So right now I would, the topic for today that I picked was layouts with CSS Flexbox. All right, so does anybody know, wait, are we all at home? Can we put on our cameras? Hello?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna come on now. No time.
Come on, I want
Show
to
your
see
face. Show your face.
I'm camera shy.
Shino, show your face. Junior, show your face.
Hey, guys, no, they come back.
Okay.
Okay, hold on where I set up. Zoom. Okay. Oh, come on, nobody else is putting on their video. Who is Mr. Matt? Please, guys, put on well, everybody's not taking someone.
Did you not put on your face now?
Why you there Junior like this?
Kayode give your face, Kazim, your face, Kingsley, your face, Matthew. I'll call all of you out.
Yes, call them out, please. Let's see their faces.
Olabode, your face. For now, I'm a class captain. No. Share your face. Even students see your own face. Today I'll have your face, Tunji. You guys should come on out.
Okay, guys. So right off the bat, what do you understand by Flexbox? Anybody? By the way, like I'll be giving prizes to whoever answers the most questions in my book.
We have to exempt the people not showing their face. Even though they're getting, you can't give them.
Their faces. Okay, let me get my slide open.
It's a CSS layout model.
Okay, so what is it necessarily used for? Wait, who answered that, by the way? Who answered that?
I did. My name is David.
Oh, hello, David.
Yeah.
It's a CSS.
For elements within a container, it's more of a container, elements within a container.
Are you reading from Google? You just Google.
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
No.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you're about right? The box model is basically a modern way to change layouts or the way elements are displayed.
Sorry, Ejiro, are you trying to share your screen?
Yes.
I think that would make for better interaction.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm setting up my slides. What? Just share the entire screen. All right. So I want everybody to. Do you have brackets installed? Or what is your what tool do you use to code?
VS Code.
VS Code. Have you tried installing brackets before?
Yes, I didn't like it. Somehow,
Okay.
somehow, maybe because I have a slow machine.
Yeah. Brackets is a bit heavy for slower laptops, but it's pretty handy for just purely front-end stuff. That's what I get from the demo. So this is what we'll be working with. Can you guys see my dev tools here?
Yep, we can.
Yeah.
Okay. No, not just the web page, the elements here too.
Yeah.
Yep, we can.
Okay. So I want all of you to fire up your cool editors and try to get just this. I can copy and paste it on the charts.
Sorry, I can't really hear you from it. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah. Can you all just type this out?
Can you see again your network? I guess is what.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. I can do that.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
we can hear you. We can hear you.
I'll hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you. But can you make the screen bolder? Can't see the line of code well.
Can you guys see me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think I lost you for a bit. Okay. Let me share my screen. All right, so let's get this out of here. I will copy and paste this on the chat. This is weird. you guys get that?
Yes, we just did.
Yeah. So please copy and paste.
Yes.
And the CSS. Okay. Please tell me when you're good. So are you guys still with me? Hello?
Yes, we are with
Yes.
All right, so could you get the code from the chat so we can begin? Basically, need to just copy that on a blank document, paste, and also have the main CSS as this main.css there. I'll copy this for you. So you have this. That goes into the main.css. Please, if you run into any issues, just hit me up. So basically what these are is, this is a selector that affects every single element. That's why it's the star. And this is HTML tag, basically putting a padding of 5 pixels and a background of this. I'm guessing you guys have covered some CSS rules, right? Hello? You guys are awfully quiet.
Yes, we have.
we are with you. We're just trying to fix up the code.
All right. So the CSS is from, yeah, when you see CSS dot dot. All right, so if anybody is set up, just give me a shout out so I can move on.
Okay, I'm good here.
Okay. So is everybody else set up? Let me stop.
Yeah, I'm good too.
Okay. So you have a basic layout that has items inside. I'm gonna copy the CSS for the items. Yeah, so I gave each of them different widths. So you can just copy this again into the CSS folder. So this is the CSS for item 1 and item 2. Then we have 3, 4, and 5. Is everybody following so far? Hello, Eugenia.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm on it.
Are you all set up?
I'm good.
Okay. So how does it look? Everything is meant to look like, let me share my screen. Everything is meant to look like this.
Yes, that's how it looks here.
Okay. So anyone else has this view?
I don't really, but mine is just working for 1 and 2. I don't know if.
Check the class names that you assigned for the rest.
It's sounding different as well. It's just showing the numbers, not showing the bars.
Yeah.
Okay, that's because you don't have the CSS for the individual items. So you need to make sure you have this inside your main.css. So these are different folders, by the way. You have an index.html here. And we're using this link to link our main.css. Now, is this class names were assigned here? That we use here. So make sure that you check the class names and make sure they correspond in the style sheet. So item 4 as item 4 here. These are the styles for it. Are you good now?
I'm just seeing the send two messages. I think I just copied one. Let me try it out.
Alex, I'm fine now.
Dear my brother, the blessing that you know, you're our host to continue. Continue. Now you want for Master's NG now. Now you want for Master's NG. You can continue the lecture. You must continue.
So,
Send the message twice, so you keep the tag down, so you copy.
Wi-Fi switched from the home to my phone. So sorry about that. Are we still recording this?
Yes.
Yeah, still.
All right. So I'll just get back to sharing my screen. Is everybody set up now?
I am.
Yes, we are all set.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good now.
Sorry, please. I wasn't aware what was going on. My network went off.
Oh wow. So can somebody share the HTML and CSS with him? Because I lost that chat.
Sure. Check your chat now. Is your chat wiped off as well?
Yeah, it is. I went on.
Okay. I'll send you the stuff on Slack.
All right. For long. I think
Can you see it now, Shino?
yeah. Thanks, guys.
You can add the CSS for items 2 to 5. It's like a cutoff from item 1.
Okay, for item 3, if you check up, you see a text that says from unknown to everyone. Just delete that text. Once you delete it, then everything becomes normal.
Does anybody, sorry, who's the moderator? I need your email, please. So I can just share with you and we can send to everyone. Any email address. Okay, so I'll just move forward. Can you make me host of this so I can share my screen?
Everybody, we are waiting for you.
Yeah, please, can you make me host so I can share my screen?
Nobody is the host. He is the one in charge.
Olabo, they kindly reassign hosts to him, please.
Okay, I'm on it, please.
Thank you.
I think we are good now. Please check.
Okay, yeah, I can share my screen now. Great. So this would be just a rudimentary walkthrough, and we would for you guys to come along with me. Hopefully everybody has this set up already and it looks exactly like this. Give me a thumbs up if you have, or just indicate if it looks exactly like this.
I'm good to go.
Anybody?
Yeah, good to go.
Okay. So, introduction. Yeah, okay. Introduction to Flexbox, right? Flexbox is basically a modern way to change. Basically, have two things: you need and you have the children. So, for example, using this that we have here, this is basically, so the body doesn't matter. You don't need to focus on this. So this is what I'm going to be applying the Flexbox property to, right? And how do you assign, how do you use Flexbox on an element? Does anybody know that? You guys have had this class before, right?
Yes, we have.
Oh, and the person that answers the most questions is getting a prize.
Oh, that's true. Please, I don't really understand the question.
Okay, so how do you assign or how do you use Flexbox on an element? So we have this. And this element here. Yeah, go on.
Hello, can you hear me?
Display flex.
Hello.
Display
Display
so
flex.
the mother elements, like the parent elements, display flex.
Okay. So when you do display flex, what does that do exactly? By the way, who answered that question?
Kayode.
Yes, Kayode, but I can call him Alex.
Okay. So I have one from Alex and one from, what was his answer to the question? Well, anyway, yeah, that's about right? If you want to make any elements, if you want to make use of the Flexbox model, you just put display flex on the element, right? So this is where I mostly debug, or this is where I like to build out. If I have the general HTML structure down, I just come here to my Elements tab and start adding properties. So right now, I'm adding display flex. Can you guys see a change?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Yes, we can.
So basically, for you to understand display flex, you need to understand what it means when I say a cross-axis. Yeah, you need to. So you need to understand what I mean by cross-axis and Xbox model. Right? So what we'll learn in this class, we'll learn basically what a flex container is. We'll learn what the main axis and cross-axis that can be understand. Basically, all the concepts about Flexbox. Also, you understand what are flex items. So let's start with
So guys, is it best that we all cancel our video and just join through the voice? Maybe it's the video that is affecting it. Who knows?
It's his own network. It's his own network. It has nothing to do with every other person's video.
Video, I mean. Because I was thinking maybe video now they make maybe consume more data. Who knows? You don't make everybody.
hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we
Yes.
can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so we have to run through this whole process of making me host again.
Alabode. Okay.
It's just now.
Yeah, yeah. Done.
Alabode.
You are the host already.
That the host already.
Yeah. Share my screen. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes, very
Yes,
well.
yes.
Yes,
Yes, we can.
Okay. So basically, I summarized what display flex does, right? So in early elements, if you put on display flex, basically by default, it specifies that that element should now lay its children, which is, let's go back to this slide. So basically, this is a container. This is the element for putting the display flex on. This box, right? So when we put in display flex, this becomes the flex container, right? So this is the parent, and this here, the elements inside it, any element inside it, they are the children. So they are also called flex items. You guys get that concept?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so now, here's where the concept of main axis and cross axis comes in, right? So it lays out its along its main axis, which is your horizontal axis by default. So by default, just putting in display flex into our code, it aligns all our inner elements. These are flex items. Right now, we just put like a default style. We're not doing any flex box anywhere in here. So it aligns everything on the horizontal axis. Remember, this is the default behavior. Everything inside this parent element just looks like a block element. And you are, right? You see that it aligns everything on the horizontal axis. These are the children, by the way. That's what I mean by the parent and the child. Can somebody point to me what are the children in this? What are the children in your code? When I say children, what do I mean by that? Yep.
Check.
Is there anybody answering?
Mic check.
Yeah, check.
Yeah, I think the children are the classes, item 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, so the children are every element inside a parent that has basically the flex items. Those are. Did you say something?
Sorry, I think Chaka answered you first, but because of the network, I don't think you heard him.
So basically, hello? Are you guys following this?
Yes, I am. I can hear you.
Okay, so basically, when you default assign display flags, by default, it assigns 2 other values to this element, to the parent, right? One is the flex direction, and the other is the flex wrap. So we're not talking about these inner elements right now. Just ignore it. This parent elements, from here, our focus for today would be knowing how to change the children's position just from this parent element. Remember, this is still the parent element wrapping all these divs inside here. So all these divs, all these elements in here are children of this parent. So hence they're also called flex items. So when you put in display flex, to go back again, you are basically making sure that every child here are aligned on a row. That's the horizontal axis, if you don't specify anything else. Because by default, it specifies flex direction and flex wrap for you by default. Now, since you guys have gone through this class before, can you tell me what are the default values for the flex direction from what we've talked about? And also the flex wrap.
Mic check.
Anybody? Let me reiterate. The question is, what is the default value for flex direction and flex wrap? Yeah.
I think for flex direction, the default value is 0. Michael, can you hear me?
Can anybody answer the question?
I said for the default,
Okay.
for flex validation, the default is row. And for flex path is raw.
Hi, everyone.
I can hear you.
Yeah, this network is so very bad.
Or should we just end the call? It's almost 2 already.
No, what if you end the call and then he comes in and finds empty chairs and tables and decks? More just chill now. And
Cheers,
then
Alex. Cheers.
more chill now. Then when he comes, then they'll know the next thing to do.
Hello guys, sorry about that. Nigerian network issues. Can you guys hear me? Is everybody already bored?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can.
You guys are already bored, Bob. Nobody said no, so that means yes. All right, so we are back. So before I left, I asked a question. Can somebody remind me what the question was?
You
Hello?
asked the default property for flex direction and flex wrap.
Yes. So does anybody have an answer to that? Has anybody Googled yet?
I have an answer to that. Though someone had answered before now.
No, I didn't hear that. Sorry. I think my network was messed up then.
Okay. Flex direction is row reverse. Then flex wrap is wrap.
Okay, those are the default values you, right?
No,
Sorry?
no.
You said no?
Yes, the default as in for the flex wrap, it's no wrap. That's the default value.
Okay. Okay. So, any more answers? Guys, it's a Google search away. Okay. So,
I'm trying to reduce the
okay, so default value, right? The person that answered no wrap, you thumbs up. So default value for when you put in display flex, it gives you flex wrap of no wrap, and it also gives you a flex direction of row by default. That is why you can see, as soon as I put this here, this is a default behavior for elements you stack on a HTML page. But when you put in display flex, this, just always look at your browser as in, like it's in rows and columns, right? So these are rows. This, like from left to right, that's a row, right? If you're looking at this as an Excel sheet. Indicate if you're with me.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, so this is a row. And by default, right, it will start from the left, that's the top left, to the top right. So your elements, this here is our main axis from the left to the right. So we'll get into main axis and cross axis next after this. But basically those are the two values. So we have flex direction. If I put in row here, it does nothing. Can you see that? Because it's already row. And flex wrap. Flex wrap, no wrap. Still doesn't do anything, doesn't change our page because these values already come default, right? So before I talk about the main axis and cross axis, let me quickly show you an example of what flex wrap does. So if you put flex wrap, no wrap, and you try to shrink your browser, at some points, right, the inner children, the children here are going to break out of the parent element. Can you see?
Yeah.
Can
Yes.
someone tell me why this is happening? Can you
Because
tell me
of no,
Yeah, because of what?
the flex wrap is at no wrap.
Okay, so what does wrap do?
It wraps everything into the main parent, the parent div.
Okay, okay, that's an answer, but not exactly what I'm looking for. But I'll give you a thumbs up for that. Does anybody have another perspective or insight?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think flex wrap holds all the divs in the parent div. It holds them together, like binding them together.
Ah, I see. You're trying to use the literal meaning to try to.
Yes, yes.
I know. Nice try, though. But yeah, with that understanding, I want to just switch it up a little bit, right? So flex wrap basically uses. So there's a thing called the main axis. I want you guys to remember this all through this topic, right? Remember that this top here, this horizontal, this top here. Can you see where my mouse is at?
Yeah.
So this is a main axis with flex direction rho. Because of the direction is rho, it stays here. It's in a row. Do you get? I'm starting with this flex direction now. So hence our main axis will be this line here because it is all aligned on, a row. If I change this, there are different values you can put for flex direction, right? You have row, but we'll talk about just two. We have row and we have column. Column basically is the default behavior of elements. So you can put CO, that's column, and to align it on this axis. So this determines where, flex direction determines where our main axis and crux axis will be. Now remember, we have two things we need to keep in mind. One is that this for flex direction row, right, which is the default, it aligns it in a row here, and it aligns it to this, our main axis. Now, if we change it to column, that main axis comes here. So this would now be our main axis to align everything to. So this would be one column for all this. And each of them will take on the maximum width if you don't specify a width to the flex item. Are you guys with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically the reverse is the same, right? I'll show you a diagram that basically summarizes everything. But right now, I just want to try to get you to understand a little bit before you get more insight from the diagram. So another property you can add to this would be row reverse. This is basically reversing where the start point is on the horizontal axis. So it's still from here, right? This is still the horizontal axis, but then it starts from here. It starts from the other end in the reverse fashion. So remember, row is from 1 will be here to 5. Row reverse will be from 1 from here to 5. So it starts from here towards this side. Whereas normal row is from this point. This is the horizontal axis, by the way, is moving from left to right. Row reverse is from right to left. So basically reverses it, but it's still the same axis. But one thing we should know about this is that the cross axis changes too. I'll explain what we do with the cross axis later. So for you to know what the cross axis does, let's go back to row. So this is the normal behavior, right? You don't need to put this in. You can leave it out. So now we need to put in flex wrap. That is where we can see a live example of what it is, what the x-axis is. What the cross-axis is, sorry. Can you see what happened? Guys, are you with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
We can hear you.
I can hear
Okay.
you.
Right now, without this flex direction, what is the flex direction for this parent element?
Row.
Row.
Exactly. So now we have flex wrap. Remember, what should be in your head is this is our horizontal axis, this is our main axis, and this is our cross axis. So you can do horizontal axis and vertical axis, right? Or main axis and cross axis, right? So for flex direction row, which is already by default, we don't need to put in here, and a flex wrap of wrap. Once an element reaches, once any of these flex items, if their width is specified, if it's not a percentage, like I put a percentage width here and a min width. So if it hits any of this width defined in this, any of the children, and there's no space for it to shrink anymore, it is now going to fall along the cross axis. Do you get that? Or should I rephrase, should I start again?
Explain again, please.
Okay. Flex direction row basically aligns all the children elements in a row, right? Now, if you put wrap, it means that if there's another element that needs to be on this row, but there's no space, bring it to the bottom along this axis. So hence, remember, it's already in a row here. It's already aligned to the horizontal axis. That is the main axis, right? So if I shrink this now, and can you see that?
Yes.
It gets to the space that it needs, it can't shrink anymore, it breaks down. So this place, this is our cross axis, right? It's the same thing if I keep on going, it will break down again until like it gets to the point where it can't keep going down and then it breaks. Can you see? And this is without putting any media query or anything. You can already align and make your elements in any anything you're doing. You can basically build an almost responsive screen from this if you're aligning things in blocks. Can you see that? So it drops it along this cross axis here, which is our vertical axis. That's because it is flex direction row. Flex direction row basically says, I want my horizontal axis to be here at the top, and I want my vertical axis to be here. So when I shrink things like this, they can fall on the vertical axis, right? Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, what happens if I give it a flex direction of row reverse? Where will it start from? Can somebody tell me where number one would be? The box one?
Box 1 should take the position of box 5, and the other should align that way.
Okay, so it's going to start from the end, right?
I think so.
Okay, so now let's do that. So row reverse. Can you see?
Yeah.
Okay, so now what happens if I shrink this? Where is it going to fall along? And where is our cross axis at this point? Where is our cross axis?
It will be the line towards the number one, where the item number one is. So it will fall under the one.
Under the one. Thank you. Who's that,
Yeah.
please? Who answered that question?
Kazim.
Kazim, you're getting a free pizza. This is just a... So let's shrink this down, right? Can you see? So now our horizontal and vertical axis are shifted because of it is role reverse. So the first time it's from here, from left to right, right? With normal row, and our cross axis, which is our vertical axis, is from top to bottom. Now, because it's reversed, it starts from here to here, and our vertical axis is from the top to the bottom on this side. So things are going to wrap down from here. Okay, so we also, let's go back to row. So Flexbox is really, it's pretty decent because you can play around with it as much as you want, right? So I can do row reverse. Basically, for the flex wrap, I can do wrap reverse, sorry. Basically, it reverses the order, the way the thing wraps, but it's still on the aligned axis. Can you see? So right now, it's still aligned on a row, but we set it to wrap reverse. So it's going to, because of normally our cross axis is from this top to the bottom, right? But right now we've done the reverse. So we switch this arrow. It's now from bottom to top. That's where things will fall in. Can you see? Things will now fall upwards because of we're reversing the angle that it should with our flex wrap reverse. So that is just, if you play around with this, you can see the different implementations and just try to proceed from there. So back to our slide. You understand what a flex container is, right? Can somebody tell me what a flex container is? Another name for a flex container. Anybody?
The parent element.
Parent.
Okay, great. So now, what is the main axis and the cross axis?
Main axis.
Yeah, so that's the vertical axis and the
Horizontal.
Yeah. So depending on your flex direction, right, that will determine where your main axis and your cross axis is. So don't be scared of all the words that you see there. Just know that the basic rules, where would my main and cross axis be? That you know how everything else would flow, right? So let's move on. So this is basically summarizing what the Flexbox is. This is container and this are your children. So there's a shorthand for flex direction and flex wrap. Those are still the default values you get from putting in display flex. Does anybody know what the shorthand is? So instead of typing flex direction and then flex wrap, you can just type one property and assign it to the elements. Can somebody tell me what that is? Anybody?
Please, a question again.
What can you use? What's the shorthand for flex direction and flex wrap?
Flex flow.
You said flex flow? Hello? Yeah, so I guess I'll just move on. So the shorthand for flex.
Yeah, that is flex flow.
Yeah, so that is correct. Shorthand for flex direction and flex wrap is flex flow. So you can just put this in there. So flex flow, let's do this. Flex flow, you can define row and then space wrap. So with that, we can remove all this. It's basically still the same thing, but less lines of CSS. So with that, you can still have the same effect going on. All right. So now this is a representation of what I'm talking about. So from this diagram, you can see the direction for when you have flex direction row, right? Your main axis will be from this left to this right. By the way, all these elements here, all these flex items, they can be, you can also assign display flex on them, and each element inside them will turn to flex items. Do you understand that? So this layering, right? I can put each of this inside another box in here and still layer them anywhere I want to. That is the beauty of Flexbox. You can build your elements in a way that it's already responsive right off the bat without even going to media queries and anything else. So let's start with flex direction row. Flex direction row, we have our main axis from the left to the right, from what we've seen here, from this left to the right, that's from 1 to 5. And our cross axis is from the top to the bottom. That is where everything wraps to, from top to the bottom. That's for flex direction row. That is by default what you get. But by default, you don't get the wrap. So you might not be able to utilize the cross axis yet. For row reverse, it's basically the same thing, but it changes where this main axis starts from. And it also changes where the cross axis is. So with that, with this diagram, you can basically use this to, as your reference points. Now, we have flex direction column. Let's dive into that. Flex direction column basically gives you the same as you not having display flex on it. The same column, sorry. The same effect of you not having any any display flex on it, right? But it aligns everything, it aligns your elements on the vertical axis. So this now becomes your main axis. Can you see this? So it starts from the top here to the bottom. That is your main axis. Can somebody now tell me where the cross axis might be? Anybody? Okay, so the cross axis is going to be from the left to the right. So it's going to be here. That is the cross axis. And you can also do column reverse. Basically reverses the direction too again of where this comes from. So it now comes from the bottom to the top. That's what we're seeing here. All right. So with that, we can move on. All right, so summarize most of what we learned so far. Flexbox basically changes the way elements are displayed on the website, right? Flexbox consists of the flex container and the flex items, which we've covered. This entire parent here is the flex, and these are the flex items. We've covered that. So a flex container, if you can do that by adding simply display flex to any element, and it turns into a flex container. These are the properties you can assign to a flex container regarding to the Flexbox regarding to Flexbox. So we've talked about flex direction, which can be either column, row reverse, or column reverse. We've seen how that works when using Flexbox. We've also talked about the flex wrap. This is basically how your elements wrap along the cross axis, which depends on the flex direction. I don't know if that's still a bit too complex for you, but stay with me. So we've also touched about the flex flow, which is a shorthand to writing flex direction and flex wrap. Now, let's talk about align items. We're going to change this back to row. Actually, I will comment this out. So, does anybody know what align items does? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, do you know what align items does?
From the word itself, it aligns the
I think Shiro, let me answer this one so I can collect my own pizza. Align, maybe it brings the elements to the center. Or
Center to what axis? Always look at everything regarding axis. Like everything, it's all about the axis it goes to. So, okay, let's do this. Let me go to the definition. All right. So align items, right? You can use that to position your elements inside, all the elements inside a flex container. And align items basically has to do with the cross axis. So it aligns your elements, your flex items across the vertical axis. That's the cross axis, right? So if I put in align items, remember it's not align self or align content, align items, right? So if I put in align items center, it should center my elements here to the middle of this parent across this flex direction row. So it should be aligned to this row.
So in other words, like the padding, should balance the padding.
It should balance the padding.
Oh, sorry, the margin.
Oh, you said it to balance the margin.
Yes, from left to right.
Are you asking me how to center from left to right?
No. I'm saying like from what you said, like I'm saying it from it is going to give it like a margin, equal margin from the left also and the right.
Oh, not yet. Not yet. These margins are set by me. This is it's just it's going to align it. It doesn't align it from this left to this right. So this is the horizontal axis, right? What align items does, it aligns things across the vertical axis.
Okay.
So if I put align items center, right? It will align it. Can you see? It's aligning it to this. This is not the center of this.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're still sticking to row, it's still in a row, right?
Okay.
But it is not centered inside that row.
Okay.
So we can use, there are different values for align item. Actually, the one that has to do with flex. Flex end, right? It's not aligning to the end of the cross axis.
Okay.
Because it's still aligning per this axis. That's what align items does on the parent element. It aligns everything along to the cross axis, which is the vertical axis, right? So if I do flex end, that's the end of the cross axis. If I do flex start, now where do you think that would go?
Top of the axis.
Exactly. So that would make the default behavior of the flex direction. It's just aligning from the top there. So there are different values you can also play around with. There's the baseline, which I particularly like using because it does this weird thing where it aligns everything to a different baseline.
Hi, we can't hear you. The breaking.
Eugene, take over.
And I go share this pizza out.
I see that. Now, there's a why I still be here because I want to collect my own pizza. Oh, boy. Who get that pizza? Sef? It should be Olabode now. Olabode, don't forget me. Oh. Not your guy.
Me self, oh.
Yeah, I know you that 3 years after pizza last.
Me self, I don't taste small. Allah body self no talk. You no talk. Let's say don't vex. Oh.
You go impersonate and collect the pizza. You go impersonate and collect the pizza. You can go chill on it to Olabode.
I put this in a car. They go win them. I don't. They try to send a message.
I don't even do yourself. Okay. I think it's back.
Sorry.
I think it's around. Olabode, kindly make Anon the okay. He's the host now.
All right, sorry guys. Network struggles. All right, so where did we stop? We were about to dive into, yeah, I asked a question about if I change this to column, what would be the effect? Can somebody try that out on their system? Hello? Can anybody hear me?
Yes,
Yes, we can.
Yeah, nobody has their cameras on again.
Yeah, what you do is you can move everything to the center of the screen. Like everything, if you have a space, equal space in the middle, then every item will be on the center.
Okay. Has anybody else tried it? Has anybody else tried it? Okay, so if we give it flex direction column, remember with column, our main axis now becomes this, right? Now let's remove this. With column, our main axis becomes this, and our cross axis becomes this. Are you with me? We can go back to the diagram for a refresher. So this is our main axis, and this is now our cross axis. Right, so now if we give it an align items flex start, this is already the start of our this in cross axis, because this from here to here is our cross axis now. Remember, this is flex direction column. Row, our main axis would be from here to here. But with column, it comes down here to become, this would be our main axis. And this would be our cross axis. Do you understand? So now, flex start aligns the elements inside a flex container across the cross axis. So it's not going to align it across this axis. Are you with me?
yes, yes, I can.
Okay, so now, because of its start, it started from here. But then, if we give it another value, like center, where will it be? Can somebody try?
Hello.
Yeah.
I think it will be at the center of the horizontal axis.
It will be at the center of the horizontal axis. Exactly. So let's do that. Can you see?
So one picture for me, right?
Yes.
Ah, my own pizza, uncle.
Okay, you deserve a pizza too. Please make sure you send your details along with your.
How do we do that?
Just send it to who was that talking to? Okay.
That's Kingsley.
Yeah, make sure anybody.
Oh, okay. Okay, yes, Kingsley and I now. Then with the other guy.
So yeah, align item center would center it along the cross axis. Remember, it's always the cross axis and the main axis you're looking at. Always try to get those pictures in that picture in your head anytime you're working with Flexbox. With that, you can just use that insight to understand everything else, because everything works along those axes. So right now, if I give it flex end, where does it go to? Another pizza. Come on, guys.
That's at the end of the axis.
Right on the parent.
Exactly. Flex end. See, it already was there. Okay. So now let's go back to our very beloved friend row. So use cases of this, right? Where I should show you live use cases of this. So basically, this is a live use case of this. Right now, we don't have any. Okay, why is our page breaking, by the way, guys? Why is it breaking? Because what?
The flex is not, as in, you didn't initiate it. It's not active yet in the code.
It's active. It's active. Remember, display flex is already there, but there's something missing.
That's the flex wrap.
Exactly. That is what makes it fall to what axis?
To the horizontal axis.
Yes. So right now, if we put in this, it falls down. This is our horizontal axis because it was still in row. But we are aligning items to flex end in row. Now, where is the cross axis for row? It's here, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now this is the end. That is why this align items flex end is bringing things here to the bottom. Are you still with me? See,
Sure.
even though like I take it all the way, it's not starting from that top. It's starting from here. So now, if you want to play around, you can also do a reverse here and just be seeing, just go on your own and play with this. See where where the horizontal and cross axis falls. Every time you change the flex direction, the align items, and justify content. So we've not talked about justify content, right? We've been focusing on the cross axis for a while now. We also have the main axis, which you can align items to. You can align your flex items to the horizontal axis too, right? So now let's get rid of this flex end. By default, it's flex starts, by the way. Now, there's a new property that we haven't talked about yet, which is justify content. So basically, in what I've learned from what I'm using almost every day, I use Flexbox almost every day. So I basically use display flex. Most of the time is rows I want to align my item in, but I can switch up to columns. It's pretty easy. And I wrap my elements. So I give them a specific width and height. And I make sure that when I'm resizing like this, so if I have like a box of things, when I'm resizing like this, I can make sure that, okay, yeah, it already stacks regardless. This could be anything. It could be text, it could be a paragraph, it could be anything. So far, the appearance has a display flex on it. It's going to determine the behavior of the children. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
All right. So justify content. Justify content, what it does, it is different in a way that it aligns things, it aligns the flex items to the horizontal axis. That's the main axis, right? So you can see how the main axis starts from the left to the right, right? And this is the cross axis from the left top to the left bottom for row. Now, if we put in justify content center, where do you think it would center our children? One more pizza. I have how many now? 2. One more pizza, guys.
Sorry, the question again.
If I put in justify content basically aligns items to the horizontal axis, which is the main axis, right? So now if I put in justify content center, what happens?
It moves the elements to the center of the page. Horizontally. Yes, horizontally.
Horizontally.
It's, now, for example, now there's something like this, yes.
Exactly. Why did he move it horizontally? Because justify context works with the main axis. So right now, if I put in, just a follow-up question to that guy that answered, right? If I put in flex direction column, where would it align it to? Where would it align the elements to? Remember, use the main axis and cross axis as a reference point.
Okay, it should be something like, it should be in the middle horizontally, but it should be like arranged vertical, like 1, 2, 3, 4 downwards. If I'm saying the right thing.
Can somebody try it out and see? Are you there?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so now let's change this to end, start. Can you see nothing is changing? Do you guys know why?
No.
Okay. So basically, justify content aligns things to the to the main axis, right? It doesn't. This is now the main axis. That's why I didn't like using horizontal and vertical, because this is now the main axis and this is the cross axis. And that is the horizontal. So if you use horizontal and vertical, it actually might make you a bit confused. So just know that main axis for column is along this, the horizontal, and main axis for row is along the vertical. Now, why this, you're not seeing any change from the justified content, which is supposed to align things across the main axis, is because we didn't specify a height for our parents. So right now, the height is determined by these individual elements here. So that's why you can't really see it move from top to bottom, because of it's meant to shift. So now, if we give this a height, our container, a height of maybe 30 rem. Can you guys see it moved a bit?
Yes.
We justified it, justify content flex end. That means it's meant to come down here. Like this is where any of the elements should start from, right? So let me increase it now. Can you see? It sticks to the bottom. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you can see the difference with center. This is centered. Flex end, flex start. All right. So with this, right, you by yourself, you can just go and just play with it and see, like always keep that mental picture of the horizontal and vertical axis. That would be your source of truth. That's from there you can just see, oh, okay, this is what align item does when it is on, when these axes are in this way, right? When this is my main and this is my horizontal. Now, when it is this way, this is how this thing behaves. So with that, you can just, with that concept in your mind, you can conquer anything else that comes in with Flexbox. You can understand even any extra thing that they add, any extra properties that might add to children.
Sorry, please, can you share your slide with us, please?
Yeah, of course I will. Basically came up with it this morning, but I'm glad you want it. Okay, so now we've talked about justify content. Align content is an assignment for you guys to go through. So you would give me what you, and anybody that has the best explanation of align content would have with examples of you using it. I would send 5,000 naira credits if that's worth something for you. So yeah, there's that. Assignment is go use align content and give me an explanation of what it does as regards to the main and cross axis. Also, you can give me a little write-up of what align items and justify content does. So your assignment is, I want you to take all these boxes, remove them. I want you to center just one box in the middle of this page. Completely center it in the middle of this page. If you can do that, then you're getting 5,000 Naira credit straight up to your phone. Is anybody looking forward to that challenge?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so the assignment is take one box and center it on a page. So the parent should be the full width and the full height of the page. And you meant to just have one box in the exact center. No matter what screen size, the box should be in the exact center. That is your assignment.
Sorry, please, if I get the assignment correct, is the assignment together with the align content? And
yeah, no, it's not together with the align content. You give me an example of how to use align content regarding the main and the cross axis, and also a write-up of, so a write-up of all these things: align items, justify content, and align content. You tell me what you do regarding the cross axis and the main axis. Always keep that mental picture in mind when you're using Flexbox. Because with that picture in mind, you can understand how everything else works. That is the basic. So you can see here, so main axis versus cross axis. Flex direction is defined by, flex direction defines the main axis. Properties refer to main or cross axis. Behavior of flex items change depending on the flex direction. We've covered that. We know that the cross axis and the main axis change depending on the flex direction. We've also touched align items and justify content. All right, I think that's all I have for today. With that, you can start building like layouts on top layouts. So you can, so how I start my pages, right? If I'm using Flexbox all through, my body, I start with my body being a flex item, right? I just have multiple flex items, multiple display flexes on my items because I want to be able to layer them in such a way that they can stack all through, especially with most mark systems where we have a lot of reporting and a lot of admin stuff that needs to be made. So mostly they want to see cards, they want to see details, they want to see maps, they want to see graphs and all that. So I have to make sure that right off the bat, even without me building any responsive screen or using any media queries, all my elements are flexible. So in case of any screen size, they can choose to stack or not stack depending on the scenario. So you can also play with this and advance this a little bit more with media queries. So with media queries, you can even choose to change at a certain width, you can choose to change how the flex flow should be, the flex direction should be. You understand how have you guys gone to the media queries yet?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can choose to, at this width, okay, right, let me give you an example. So I'll use row and I'm gonna expand this. And I'm going to remove the heights. So okay. So any questions, guys?
Yeah, just one.
Yeah.
Earlier on, you said Flexbox can almost be used to build responsive sites or something. So what do you mean by that? Because I think it should be able to build like 100%. So I don't really know. We
Yeah,
can shed
so
more light on it.
for me, right, responsiveness isn't just things stuck. So Flexbox is great by itself. You can use it to build, yes, of course, you can use it to build a responsive layout right off the bat, right? But that is not all you need to do for a responsive screen. That is what I meant by that. So with media queries, you can now make this. Okay, now I can say at this width, I want this to be flex direction column, right? And I want it to align items center. So I can say I want it to look like this. That is the beauty of media queries. It like adds an extra functional. It adds that. It makes it more precise what you need to do. Because with normal the flex wrap, you can make it stark, but media queries gives you a lot more. You can adjust the width. You can make it look exactly the way you want it to stack. You can use a different. You can use grid instead, in case grid works well for that system. So yeah, that is the benefit of that. Any more questions?
Yes. Is there a way we can make these items to be in a V shape?
In a V shape.
Yes.
Like it'll start from here, then 2 will be here, 3 will be here, 4 will be here.
Like starting from the left, like the one, then the 2 goes down, moving towards the center. Then 3 is in the center. Then 4 goes up towards the right. Then 5 is now on the right. Yes, something like that. V shape.
Interesting. That would be a cool trick to see. So right off the bat, what I can think of doing is that I'm going to have each of these elements. Yeah, yeah. Each of these elements is going to be a flex container, right? So I'll have everything here. I'm not going to apply the flex direction on there. So they will have one line, one line, one line. They'll take up the full line. Each of them will have like a full line that is a flex container, right? So I'm going to do, okay, let's try this now. So in each of these elements, right here, we can make this have the full width. That's 100%. Okay, I need to wrap this inside the parent. Okay, so now we need to change how it is structured in here. Are you guys following me?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So I'm going to wrap each of these elements inside a flex container, even though they already have another one at the top here. I'll put each of them inside a flex container. Then I would align them on this. So I can put flex start for the first one. I can put like a margin left to push it to the middle a bit for the second one, but it's still flex start. Then I can align the third one to the middle. Do you understand? So each of them will take this full width and I'll align them across the horizontal axis individually. Do you follow me?
Yes.
Okay, let's quickly do it. That will be our last exercise. All right, so we have a div that would wrap our elements. So basically we can, yeah, okay. We give this div a class name. So that's the item one wrapper. I'm just going to copy this and same for this. There has to be a faster way to do this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. Oh, that's 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so what I'm doing here is I am basically I'm putting each of the elements inside an individual Flex container. Do you know why? Because of right off the bat, from when you told me what you wanted me to accomplish, right? I looked at possible ways for me to use Flexbox to implement this. Right now, I can't put a weight of 100% here because it has a border and everything with it. So I have to place this thing inside a container that can cover this whole length. Okay, I'll show you what that is about. So I actually do not need to name them individually because they will have the same style. Yeah. Four, 3, 2, 1. Are you guys still with me?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so right now we've placed everything inside a parent called item wrapper, and we'll save this and refresh. Okay, currently we've changed a lot of things here. Okay. All right, we've changed a lot of things here. Flex direction, wrapping and aligning items. So we just update that in the CSS sheets. So it's already there, it's just commented out. But right now we're in column and we are wrapping. Let's see. We have justify content and align items. Okay. So now, each of this is being wrapped in their individual wrapper, even though the overall parent still has align item center and flex direction column. That's why they are stacked up like this. It is centered on the cross axis, which is from here to here, from the left to the right, because of it is column, right? So now we'll come in here and give this a width of 100%. Can you see by default, this pushes the inside, the child inside this into the default position of the block element, right? So a block element will take up the entire width of the parents. So right now, we've not added display flex to it. So when we add display flex, nothing changes, right? But for us to, because we're keeping this at the start place, so we don't need to put in justify content or align items because of that's what we put it to the start. If we align item to flex start, it's going to start here. So now let's do this. align items center or flex starts. Sorry, I need to give it a, oh yeah, look at where, can you tell me why align items flex starts isn't working?
I guess maybe because they are in their separate wrappers also.
No. By default, right, when we give display flex, what is the flex direction?
That's row.
Yes. Now, aligning items flex starts on a row. What does that do? Remember, aligning items would align them across the cross axis. So you need to have that mental picture of the main axis and the cross axis in your mind. So now, where does flex start put things?
Flex start puts it on the top.
Okay, now flex end, you put it where?
Flex end will put it on the bottom.
Bottom of where?
Bottom of the row or what?
Yes. So if this had a height of, no, not that bottom. If this had a height of, remember, this is a flex item, but it is also a parent because if I put display flex on this item. So now everything inside this item is a child, and that is what I'm controlling. I don't know if you get me. So right now, this whole thing is a parent. And if I put flex start here, if I give this a height 6, right? Let's increase that a bit. So now, let's remove this and put center. Can you see that? Can you see?
Yes.
It's aligning it to this, it's aligning the child elements to this parent, this tiny parent that we made, that is also a flex item. So when you put display flex on anything, just look at what happens to the children. Do not care about what happens outside it, outside that parent. Just it affects what happens inside. Do you get me? So now this is going to align it on the vertical axis because of it is aligned items and this is a row. Because display flex gives it flex direction row by default. All right, so we're gonna keep this at flex starts because that was where we want it at, and we're going to remove this height. So now the first one is in position. So now for the second, we go into this. Give it a width of 100% too. Oh wait, before this, our parent element has display flex, align item center. Great. So now with this, right, we can give this a width of 70%. You see what happens?
Yes.
You guys remember? Yeah, so
Yes,
now,
yes.
why is this? It is still centered, right? Because of the overall parent still has display flex on it, and it's align item center. Are you with me? So it's still centering all these elements. So even if I give it a width, it's still going to spread it across the middle here. So hence, I can keep on increasing this until I get to where 70% enough, I think. 70% is enough here. So we're going to refactor a bit. And this one is in the middle where it's meant to be. Now, what I need to do is I need to take this 4 and 5 and put it inside these elements here. So how would I use Flexbox to align this bottom one, this 4 and 5, into this top place here? How do you think I can go about it? Does anybody have an answer? Anybody?
Okay, let me try. Uh, you would you would reduce the width of 4 and 5 and then increase the height.
That's the way for me to put this here. 4 and 5 here on this side.
Wow.
Okay, so let me run you through this again. For me to put 4 and 5 here, I literally have to take out this element. So I have to restructure my HTML. So if I go back here, right, instead of me putting this 2 in their own block, because I want all this, all these are taking their individual lines. If you look at it here, see, if I give this a width of 100%, it's going to take this whole width here. So that is an element in itself. I can't move this from here on top of here, except I bring it out of the document flow, right? So right now, what I need to do is I'm going to take 4 and put it inside the container of 1. So they are on the same line, right? I'll sort that out inside there. And I'm going to do pretty much the same for this one. I'll show you another value for justify content. Okay, so now let's take out 4 and 5 and put it inside 1 and 2 respectively. So we're taking out the item itself without the wrapper. And I'm going to put 5 in 1 because that's where we want it to be. And I'm going to put 4 in 2. And we comment this out. Okay, now let's refresh. So this refresh because we didn't put in all the styles we added earlier before. Yeah. So this is 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now we need to start again. From this parent, quickly put it and give it a width of 100%. Right? We're giving this one a width of, we gave this a width of 70%. And we're leaving the third one in the middle. So now, somebody tell me, how do I make sure that this get on the same line? Quick question, someone, anyone?
Okay. You would reduce the width of 5.
No, in the context of flex.
Flex end.
Flex wrap.
What?
I think you are to use a wrap on it.
No, right now there's no display flex on it, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, so just putting display flex, it gives it flex direction row. So that makes, remember, this is the element we're concerned about. It doesn't affect any other thing, right? So now these children inside, they don't have a display flex on. Remember, this was the default behavior for everything when we just started the project. So now think of this is just another smaller box with the same concept, right? So now if we give it a display flex, it's going to give it automatically what? Guys? So yeah, flex direction row. So it's now stack. Do you understand? That's all you need to do. So we do the same thing for this. So we give it a display flex, right? Do you guys follow?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm going to introduce it to a different property, right? Of justify content. Remember, This is still a row. Inside this, the elements are aligned on a row. That's inside the bracket here. Right? These two elements are aligned on a row. Now, there's another value for justify content. Remember, justify content aligns an item across the main axis, which is this right now. Remember, this is the main axis right now, from left to right, right? So now, if I give it a justify content, remember what justify content center does? Who tells me what justify content center does? If I put justify content center, where does it go to? These are elements that we're we're concerned about right now. Where does it go? Come on, guys. I still have one more pizza to give away.
It brings the element to the center of the I don't know the grammar to use right now.
Move all the elements.
It brings the element to the center of the vertical wall.
It moves everything to the center of the parent, remember?
Oh.
Across what axis? Yeah, so across the horizontal axis. So this is the horizontal from left to right. If I put justify content center, it moves it to this center here. Now let's try. Can you see?
Yeah.
Exactly. So now there's another, there are different values for justify content. Now check this out. You guys can see all these other values, right?
Yes.
Now what we should concern ourselves with is the value, special value, right? You don't need to, make sure you don't necessarily need to set a margin for your flex items. So we can give it space between. Space between basically puts, aligns, it sets the children to the ends of the parents. So even if there were more elements in here, they will be basically have the maximum space between them. Do you understand? If that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Yeah, so it always gives you the maximum space between the children. So that's why it gives the edge. This is the edge, right? Look, that's the edge there. And it gives you all that space between. So responsiveness, right? You don't need to care about that, except like you put a wrap here. So if I put flex, okay, before I put it, let me just show you the default behavior. So see, until it still gives you that space until you have to break because it's currently not wrapping. So now I'll put the flex wrap. Flex wrap to wrap. It would now wrap. Can you see? So now inside this, it has different rows because it's now display flex and it's a row. So it's going to wrap differently from how the overall structure would wrap. Do you understand? That's how you can play around. We'll have multiple nested flex parents and change how they interact, like how they break, how they stack. And you can also fine tune how you want it to be by using other justify content and align items, right? So now that is placed where it's meant to be. Now let's move on to the next one we want to do. So we basically, what do we do here? We basically do the same thing because one, the width is exactly how we want it to be, or we can reduce it. Right? And let's give it 60. Well, 65 is okay. So now we can put in justify content again because this is row by default. So we're giving it justify content, what? Space between. So it'll be from end to end. Remember, we also have space around, which basically does that. It gives it like even spaces, almost even spaces. But space evenly gives you exactly even spaces with all the items. So if I have 6 items here, it's going to find even spaces across all those items. Do you guys get me? So you can play
Yes.
around. Yeah. So now we have space between. Now this is now stacked the way we intend it to be. Now does this work for you?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay. So now so it sticks to the format. You can use media queries to now at this breakpoint, I want everything to just stack straight up. That is where the beauty of media queries come in. You can say at this breakpoint, I want you can go to individual ones here, all these individual parents you have, and try to stack the items inside. So this is only talking about what you can do from just using display flex on a parent. So what you can do from the parents that affects the children. For you to have a full insight on the full functionalities of Flexbox, you need to know what properties you can use on the flex items. That is these individual things here. You can still put some things, you can still style them depending on if you have a parent that is a display flex. There are some properties that are available to these flex items that I want you guys to do some research on because I am way out of time right now. All right, so any more questions, guys? I am going to stop sharing my screen soon.
Yes, one more question. Please, sorry, how do I get contact to personally? Are you on Slack?
Reach me on LinkedIn. It's Ejiro Ogidigbo, Max of NGs right now.
Sorry, that was fast too.
Okay, I'm going to drop my LinkedIn. Well, I'm just going to drop my name. No, I'm going to drop my LinkedIn. I'll get my LinkedIn. Give me a second.
Okay.
Right. So you guys can see my screen.
Ejiro, sorry. Okay. You dropped it, please.
I am going to drop it on the chat. Give me a second. All right. So
Sorry, you've not dropped you've not shared your slides also.
Well, yeah, I'm going to share this. Yeah, sorry. So you guys can reach out to me personally if you have any trouble with understanding a specific concept. So I went CS, I basically I understood all this just like beginning of this year when I was transitioning firms. I just decided that, hey, I am going to get into this firm and be the body best on the front end. So I took my time, I went through some courses, and the insights I got from it just moved me to a totally different level. Yeah. So hold on, let me share my slides to you. Share.
And also, regarding the assignment, when are we to submit?
I'll get to you tomorrow. By the way, everybody that has that is meant to get pizza from me, please share with Okwe. Or find a way to get it to me. Or you can reach out to me personally on. I think share with Okwe. Share your address.
Okay. Okay, we share Okwe, the address for our pizza.
There are 3 people, right? Who are the 3 people? Sorry.
Wait, let me ask a question. You know, answer the question and you ask a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
My thank you.
Go on, ask your question now. You have a question, right?
No,
he said he answered the question, then you asked a follow-up question to the question he answered. So.
So guys, I'll get my slides to you. Currently, I don't have. I'll get my slides to you through Okwe if you guys are still interested by them. Right now, I don't have access to. Interesting. Wait. Okay, so I need to change the restrictions I have on this thing. because everything is just restricted to marks. All right, so
Sorry,
I'll
hello.
share that with you.
Sorry, I still have a question before you go.
Yeah, shoot.
You know, I actually want to know when you like those changes you made on the DOM, like when you are inspecting the page.
Yeah.
Is there any way of saving them on your code editor? Like when you make the changes, it saves it automatically.
So one thing I do that I have that works well for me, right? So if I am, okay, let me just tell you my work process, even though it might be a bit cumbersome for some people. If I have a new design I need to implement, I don't go straight to VS Code, right? I first flesh out the UI. I build all the components with my brackets, because with brackets, any change you're making just reflects, even though it's still the same thing with VS Code, if you have React running or anything, right? It's gonna keep refreshing for you. But brackets just does that seamlessly for me. So I use brackets for mostly UI stuff, and because I can just put a HTML and CSS and mess with the pages, so it auto just refreshes for me. But most of the editing that I do, right, if something doesn't work, I go to my console, that my browser element inspector, and make those changes there, because I can see it live. That's if you don't have a monitor. If you do have a monitor, right, you can also stack them side by side. And as you're making changes with brackets or VS Code or anything, you're seeing it right there on the screen. So far, you have hot reloading enabled. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. Thank you so much.
Always make sure when you're making changes on the browser, because sometimes people don't have the resources to have a monitor or see what they're actually changing. Sometimes I just make my changes straight up on the browser there, and then I copy those styles and put it on my CSS. Because of there, I can see all the changes, right? And I just go through that flow, change everything where I want to, and copy and paste. That's if you find yourself without a monitor. But ideally, when you're making changes, you meant to just be looking at it on another screen. That would work well for you too. All right. Any more questions, guys? Was anybody able to follow all through the class?
I followed, man. It was very interesting.
Yes.
Like personally, like you just gave me the new vibe to open my laptop and practice without being scared again.
Sure, man. Anything, just first like take a step back and look at what makes sense, right? There's no, you can have multiple layers of this thing. Just make sure you're the one in control of how everything is meant to be stacked. You're seeing it right there, you know what it does, implement. Or just reach out to somebody if you don't understand something. And from there, once you keep on building those bases, dude, the kind of confidence you will have going into any interview, but be the ones trying to, okay, calm down now. That's what's going to be happening. So far, you know your shit. You wouldn't be taking all these offers you might be getting in places. So yeah, that is it, guys. That is all the insight I can give from my limited experience. So one, the key takeaways for this. Know your fundamentals, because with that, you can build anything, right? You can build anything. So far, you know your CSS down, you know your fundamentals of JavaScript, and you know your HTML. If you want to dive into semantic HTML, what all those tags really mean, you can go into that too. Just things you're using daily, just find, okay, what does this actually mean? What does this actually do? Without insights, right? You approach this with curiosity. That is the only way I have found that I trick myself into learning, because I'm genuinely curious about what this does. And I'm genuinely curious about how to mess with it, right? So with that playful mind, that is what helps you stay on your computer for hours on straight. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so that is all I have to give, guys. I have so many messages from work, even though I took today off. But okay. So who's the moderator? I think we are about done. Yeah.
So the pizza address should go to Okoyemi, right?
Yes, the 3 people that got pizza from
That
me.
okay.
Sir, can you name them? Because
I will send the assignment to Okpetu, so she will share it with you, like a detail of what you need to do.
All right.
Okay, guys, why not do this,
I
right?
confirm something. Oh. Are you still there?
Yeah, okay, I'm going to give you a detail of what to do, but right off the bat, right, I want you to try to implement what I did, but in reverse. Like the 3 should be on top. I'm going to share my screen again. Can you see? These 3 should be on top and everything else should be stacked at the bottom. Are you guys there?
Yes, I can hear you.
So whoever can get this to me by 4:30, I would watch your progress and recommend you for a job when you're out of student in Max.
Jesus Christ.
So if you can get it to me by 4:30, and if you can add, like, I never look for, so if I give you an assignment, right, I expect you to not just do the bare minimum. I expect you to approach it like you're approaching, like it is your craft. You have to make sure that you're proud of that stuff, right? So add as much as you can and make sure you understand what you're doing. I want everything that has to do with Flexbox explained. And you tell me why you're putting, okay, this, if I'm putting display flex here, this is what it does, right? So with this assignment, I want you to give me a detailed explanation of what each flex item is doing and what each property is doing to the children, because that's what we've covered. And if you can get me that by 5, that is the goal. So I've increased the time to 5 because there's a little write-up that comes with it. So right now, what everybody's looking for are quick thinkers. Even though you can't catch up right now, still submit it anyway. It still shows that you value the process and you value your own learning, right? So don't do the bare minimum. Try to impress, always. That's all for me, guys.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot. I appreciate your bless.
All right. So I don't know how to end this thing. Do I stop the recording or are we doing? And where does the recording go?
You just send the pizza, then the thing will end automatically.
You guys are more concerned about the pizza, not the. I'm serious. So, like, I'll put your name. We have a recruiting list. I'll put your name right there because you'll be a promising candidate we would look at. And depending on your time, when you're done with student, I can pass a word that you are. That's what exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to pass a word that is a promising person to watch out for, even if you're not ready yet. So yeah, I'm going to stop recording now.
Sorry, I want to get something straight. That means we are dealing with 2 assignments now. The one you gave previously.
Yeah, the
And
one
the one.
you have to talk about each topic and each of the
Okay.
flex properties, display flex, flex and flex wrap.
Okay, I'm aware of that.
Yeah. Okay. And then this assignment I just gave where you just reverse everything I did.
Okay. All right.
Remember, yeah, 4:30 is enough. This is 3:30, right?
No, 5 is okay. 5 is okay.
Timeline. So the first person I'm gonna share mail. Just zip it, put it on GitHub. You all have GitHub accounts, right? put it on GitHub and host it. Just paste it and send me the link on LinkedIn. My
Okay.
email is on the chat. Or you can send it to my mail personally. I'm going to put my mail in here. So it's kevinejiro@gmail.com. Everybody copy and paste if you're interested. If you're not, that's cool too. But always know that like your level, it's all dependent on you. It's all dependent on the time and the effort you put into what you're doing. And I've also told you ways to trick your brain into actually enjoying this stuff, not seeing it as a chore or as too much. Just look at every new thing you learn as building up or like stacking up things. And that is how your level keeps on increasing. Any new thing you learn that you keep in your head keeps adding to it. So no matter what, just keep on moving. And you realize in no time that, oh shit, I am really good. And that is where you wouldn't have any imposter syndrome, or even if it comes again, you know how to handle it. All right. With this, I take my lead, guys. Do I need to give back the host to someone?
No. Once you just end the call, it's going to.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. You guys have been awesome. Even though I can't see everybody's faces right now, well, it's okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye.